Welcome back to Infamously Speaking, episode 89. I'm not 100% sure because we missed last week. But it was a much needed rest and relax type of week. We promised 40 shows. We're well on our way. You want to talk about pace? The pace is incredible. We're on pace to do 51 instead of 52 now. So it's all good. Back with my guy, Quan. Before we jump into it, please like and subscribe to the podcast on wherever you're listening on, whether it be YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Helps the show grow. Leave a comment, engage with the show, drop some ideas, fire takes, whatever it is. Just like the sweatshirt says, speak infamously.
Love that.
I'm branded today. Quan, my guy. How's
that
your
hoodie's
weekend,
tough, man? That hoodie's real tough.
Hoodie tough, bro. Hoodie tough. This is special.
The other one too.
Oh yeah, I'll wear the gray one probably when I'm out in Connecticut. I'll probably wear that gray one. But this is a special show because we usually don't record on Monday. We usually record later on in the week. But we had to make sure that we got a show out because I'm heading to Connecticut tomorrow night. So let's kick it off in ways that we normally don't. How was your weekend, my friend? I heard you had a busy weekend.
I had a great weekend
throughout the week, but you were able to finally.
I was on the mend. Wasn't feeling great. The weekend was phenomenal. I have to shout out my guy Kenny at Familia, Fanatic Cigar House, Cuzzo Delamio and Ricky. It was Friday night, and I was at the Clay Pipe little cigar lounge at the casino, and I was like, "Yo, Ricky, fuck it, let's just go." And he's like, "All right." So the dude that was gonna drive actually canceled on us, but didn't cancel. He just was a no call, no show, and he was the ride. It's a 2-hour drive, but we was like, "Fuck it." I already texted Kenny last night. I'm just gonna go. So we just drove up there, and they show nothing but love and hospitality. It's funny because, right, I've been to lounges all up and down the East Coast. Scooby, I've been up to lounges, as you know, all up and down the East Coast, down in Tampa, Ybor City, cigar capital, right? And there's nothing like the Fanatics Cigar House, man. And I was thinking about it because I wanted to bring it up on the show, and I was like, what's the best way to describe it? And there's so many different words, but I think the word that comes to mind the most is the culture. Like the culture he created in that building, it's love, bro. Like everybody, they don't know me, right? I ain't not from around there. I've been there like once or twice, and just anybody comes up to you, says what's up, says hi, shows love. The guy Sean out there making old fashions. It was a time that was necessary and it was needed. I don't go out much at all, especially because I got the cigar room here now. I don't really got to go to lounges like that, but to be back in that atmosphere and around good people and good vibes, man, you can't beat it. I'm trying to get everybody I possibly can to come out there with me and enjoy themselves because it was fire. Time of my life. And because of that, shout out to Kenny. He signed my box. This is his cigars, his blend. It's called King's Blood, which is tough, right? So I'm gonna light this one up in honor of him in this show.
That's fire. That's fire. Support small businesses, local businesses. I mean, listen, man. Jersey is not a short trip from Connecticut. And like you said, you got your own little cigar lounge right there at the crib. So for the fact that you was like, you know what, I'm gonna go spend a Friday night, I'm gonna make a drive out to Jersey. It shows that there's more than it's not just the cigar, right? Like you said, it's a vibe, it's a culture, it's a brotherhood, it's a family. I was curious because we always use the word culture so much, right? We talk about even this show was based on just talking about sports culture and how it kind of makes its way into so many different avenues of life. So I'm curious, like, what is the actual definition of culture? And it's the customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group. And obviously, what Kenny got going on over there at Fanatics it's a movement.
It's a movement.
It's an achievement of what he's been able to build, but then also to the people that he's brought into that family. who've also been able to lend something, because I think we talk about it a lot in sports and leadership is you don't want people that just maintain the culture, right? That's important, but you really want people that add to the
Add to
culture,
it. Yeah,
right?
100%, bro.
So that is incredible what he's been able to do. The fact that he got people driving 2 to 3 hours just to vibe is ridiculous, to be
Yeah,
honest with
I
you.
believe there was a gentleman who took a flight from Hawaii, bro.
But
Like
that's
it's
on
not.
another level.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
I
it's
mean,
an event.
if I had the bread, I would. Speaking of events, he does. So I wanted to go to his event he had last year. I'll talk about it a little bit. It's the Fanatics Familia tour, and they go to DR and they go to different warehouses that has the tobacco and stuff, right? And so you take tours, but you also chill. It's just like the vibe in the cigar house. You smoke cigars, you socialize, and you have these wonderful conversations with people you wouldn't necessarily engage with because you're not around. Um, and it's in October, so it's like right for my birthday. So I wanted to go for my 40th, which I had planned, right? Uh, but something had happened. I'll tell you that another time. But I'm definitely going this year. Like the vibes, because they do. He takes like a video. Like they do like it's a movie. It's a movie. So I'm out there this year, and I'm gonna sip on this cigar. This is the Joseph Magna cigar malt. This is probably the one right here. I don't know if I had this when you was in town. So when you come in town this time, I'll
I'll be
make sure you get to
back.
try that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um,
Man,
but yeah,
no
man,
whiskeys today. I'm drinking coffee, but I'm drinking coffee.
I'm
I
excited.
gotta
Yeah, I'm
be
excited.
responsible.
Like it's been a while since I've been out, and then it's been a while, even longer since I've been out and had like a really good time and enjoyed myself. Um, so that was tough. Shout out to 300 Slices. 300 Slices is a pizza shop which is right next to Fanatics, and it's Dominican owned, and they had like a Dominican pizza. That shit was fire, bro. Fire, different. The vibes in there was crazy. Like they had dope artwork on the wall. They had the music playing and stuff. It was just a good time, man. I can't. It definitely made my weekend, my month, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, that's major. Again, big shout out to them, Kenny at Fanatic Smokehouse. That's big time, bro. And I think now, like as we get older, you really start to value times like that way more than you did when you were younger. Just because
Hmm.
they're few and further between because everybody's so
Yeah,
busy, right? Everybody's so busy with life. But it's funny. I was just talking to my mom, and shout out to my mom. But she's one of the hardest workers I know. And but I was talking with her, and I could just tell that she's been burnt out. There's been a lot of stuff going on that I won't get into. I remember talking to her, and I was like, "Mom, you need a break." I'm like, "You need a break." I was like, "I can see it all on your face." I'm like, "You need a break." And she's like, "I just don't have the time to." I was like, "No one is gonna prioritize it if you don't. Period. No one is ever gonna prioritize it if you don't go ahead and do that." And so, um, I'm glad that you got the chance to do it because no one's gonna encourage you to make it a focus unless you go ahead and say this is what's important to me. And so taking the time out of your busy day, week, I'm sure there's a lot of shit you could have done, but obviously it's recharged your battery, you're rejuvenated, and it's just you shouldn't feel bad about taking a break. You know what I mean? Like I
yeah,
feel like a lot of people that's part of why they don't want to is like, oh, how much time I'm gonna waste. It's not time wasted if it's purposeful. You know what I mean? And that was a
facts.
purposeful unplug, recharge. I'm ready to go again, hit the ground running.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So that's fire. That's fire.
yeah. And we got to play dominoes all day. Like it was fire, bro.
Oh,
A
you was back in
chosen
your
one.
bag. You was
Yeah, I
back
was
in
in
your
my
bag.
bag. Yeah, I was in my bag. It was exciting, man. Phenomenal selection of cigars. It's just, it's almost, I can't really describe it. Like, you just have to embrace that moment, right? That's why I said
Yeah.
I want to get people I know to go there, because if they went there, they would, I'm sure they'd feel the same kind of joy that I felt while being there. Right? It's
Right.
just it's just different. The best way to describe it is different in a great way. But yeah, that's how my weekend went. How about yours? I know you went to Canada, almost got arrested or something, right?
Nah, I didn't get arrested. I wasn't even close to getting arrested. But yeah, I mean, it was a great weekend. Finally getting some good weather here in the Pacific Northwest, so everybody's outside. And last weekend, I went to go see some trees. Drove an hour for that, for some cherry blossom. And then this week, it was some flowers because That's is massive out here in the Pacific Northwest. They got these massive tulip fields right across the border in Canada, and also a little bit further south of us. And so every year, Nona loves going, taking pictures and stuff like that. So it's good. Whatever makes my wife happy, that usually makes me pretty happy. Um, but it's funny because every time we go out, man, Emmanuel, he's fantastic. He's usually really well behaved. But my youngest he's a savage, man. And he
Hmm.
likes to act a fool. And
Mhm.
so he was acting a fool yesterday. And Nona was like, nah, just let him, it's okay. And I'm like, nah, you want to act a fool in public, he's gonna get cooked up in public. Period. But this brings up that reminded me of something I wanted to talk about. Because Nona showed me something. So I'm a believer in spanking your children. I am. And that's just because if you don't hear, you're gonna feel, right? That's what I was taught growing up. That's what
That's
I was
good.
taught
That's
growing up.
valid.
That's what I was taught
Yeah.
growing up. And listen, I got it a lot when I was a kid because I didn't hear, and that's just is what it is. So there was this post Nona showed me, and she was, I mean, Nona, right? She's very calm,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
reserved,
Yeah.
chill,
Yeah.
right? I'm not sure if you've ever seen her livid. She wasn't
I
livid, so
seen
that
her
was
live
like,
it. I seen her live it once, and I heard her that time on the pod once.
yeah. So she was so hot when she saw this and she sent it to me. And then she texted me and then instantly walked over to my office mad fast to debate it with me. And it was like,
Like as you got the message.
right. And it was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a clip of like a Facebook post. And it's like, it's okay if you hit your child, just say that you're a lazy parent or something like that. And that sent her over the edge, bro. Like beyond I've never seen it triggered by a social media post like that ever. And so I'm curious. I mean, you have a teenager. I'm curious what your take on that is. If
On
you
what
spank
part?
your child, it's lazy parenting.
Yeah, they're wilding. I think it's lazy parenting not to spank you, not to discipline your child.
Right, right, right.
Is the statute of limitations occurred for my mom, right?
Listen,
Like,
I'm not talking about
for, I'm just. My mom beat the shit out of me, bro. I mean, look how I turned out. I'm not the greatest, but I'm pretty disciplined.
right,
Um,
right, right.
you know what's funny though? I thought about it. I never hit no, like I never spanked no. I
Soft.
didn't never have to. I think uh the
She
change of
heard.
my tone. Yeah, she heard, so she didn't have to feel. Uh, I feel
Yeah.
now that she's older, she needs a spanking sometimes, but it's like you gotta listen though. You're not listening. Pay attention. Put the phone down. Listen. Um, but yeah, I don't think that's lazy parenting. Lazy parenting to me is not even giving a fuck, which unfortunately I feel like there's more of that than there is anything else.
I was so whenever we have these debates, like me and Nona or me and anyone in my family, I like to try to like skip Bayless it up. So play the devil's advocate, even though like it's I agree with them, right? Even though it's like that the other
Yeah,
side is so
yeah, yeah,
blatantly wrong.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But I like to get people excited, right? And so I was reaching so deep in my bag to try to figure out like where would that thought even come from? And I'm like, is it because if they're thinking like you hit them to stop the whole process of you just like you escalate right to it so you can skip the process of trying to get them to calm down using your words or listen using your words. I'm like, is could that be it? But I was like, but what good parent escalates right to hitting them, to spanking them right away? Yeah, like who does that? Like you're gonna get an op. I'm going to tell you. I have this rule that you get 3 chances, or you get 2 chances. The third time you do it is when you're gonna get spanked. So I'm gonna tell you one time, don't do it. And then if you keep doing it, I'm not gonna tell you right away to stop doing it. I'm gonna give you some time. Then I'm gonna tell you again to not do it. Right? Because I gotta make sure that you have time to let the message soak. And now the second time, my tone is probably gonna be different, right? My body language is gonna be different because I've already told you once. And then I'm gonna let you know the second time if I catch you again, this is what's gonna happen to you. And then at that point, you've made the decision to go and do it again. All right, fine. You know what I mean? That's what it is.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do
No, I
with
think that's important because you know in life there's consequences, right? Like outside of the behavior in your home, if you act up, if you're doing bad outside of society, when you get your ass in a situation where there's consequences that comes, that's just what it is. You
right,
know, and sometimes you don't even get those chances of 1, 2, 3 strikes. It's just nah, you know you fucked up, right? Like, no, you fucked up. I know you wouldn't get that, but that's from a movie, uh, Minister Society classic. But anyways, um, yeah, no, I agree. I think that you're lazy if you're not disciplining your child, and I'm not saying just go hit your child by all means, not. Um, have the conversations like you said, and have those warnings.
right.
But I never get no.
No,
No, I
you
never had
listen.
to.
My mom was the one that really bring the heat. To be honest
Yeah,
with you, but it's funny because then I started looking into it, right? And so I found this article from the American Psychological Association, and there's a quote here from the president, Rosie Phillips Davis. She said, I don't think most people know how to discipline without spanking. We don't teach people how to do it differently, and alternatives seem time consuming.
I think that's a valid quote in a sense of we're not taught. I don't remember ever being taught like this is how you should discipline your child. I think we're just taught naturally through whatever method we probably went through, which was passed down by generations, right? So, uh, and I think, and you know, I had these conversations with you before. Like, I think that was a big part of my forgiveness from my mom was understanding where her rooted behaviors came from, um, which helped me understand a lot more of why she did some of the things she did. So if she's taught one way, it's hard to divvy from that way, right? Because that's all you really know.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's learning that happens in it. Because here's the thing. Like I was like, oh man, that's an interesting quote. And then I went on to read it. And there's this thing here. They're like, so what about a preschooler who can't be reasoned with? They advise parents to think strategically and plan ahead. If your child is prone to act out while you get groceries, bring snacks and toys to redirect the child or choose a time to shop when the child isn't sleepy, she suggests. Let me tell you something. That ain't how the world fucking works.
You gotta plan around your child's nap to go get snacks.
Which is wild work. Like it's funny because when we were talking, and everything for Ezekiel, they're like, one of the questions was like, does how he acts, has it made you guys change, what you do? Do you stay inside more often now instead of going out? Do you do certain things because you don't want him to act up? And I'm like, no. No, I'm not gonna. We're not gonna change doing regular activities because he's unhappy about it. Because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, what is that setting him up for? That's not setting him up for success. You think he's gonna want to fucking go to school? You think he's gonna want to do that?
Yeah, yeah.
I can't. I can't. What am I gonna do there when he has to go
Yeah.
to school? He has to go to work. What are we gonna do when it comes time? What are we gonna do when it comes time where he's gonna have to do shit he don't want to do? Now is when you got to learn. Like, yo, this is the way of the world. You got at the end of the day, it is what it is. Yeah, you tired. Well, get the fuck up. Not cry about it. And so that's where the article kind of let And I get it when they're younger, is yeah, you can ease them into it, but that's not how the world works. You're not
Yeah,
setting them up for success when you do shit like that.
yeah.
I'm like, this
That goes
article is
back.
probably written by people whose kids call them by their first name.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But one, I could appreciate that they're looking at different ways to discipline, right? Or strategically
Yeah.
planned, as it was put. But at the same time, you got to be reasonable. Like, there's no, we got enough time in the day where we got to juggle, our jobs, family time, all that stuff. So for me to be like, oh, you know what, Scooby naps specifically at 12. That's the best time for me to, head out or something like that. I don't know. I think you're right. Is you're not setting them up for the real world. That's why, um, we talked about this also, which is I'm so happy that no, I'm not happy that she's going through the things she's going through. I'm happy with and proud that she's managing them well and overcoming the adversity because
Mm.
it's, I told her like this, it only gets worse. It's not gonna get better. It's not-
You're so positive. Make her excited
no,
for the rest of her life.
yeah. So, well, I'm being real.
I mean, she
Or if
really is going
anything,
into the best time of her life, though. She really is going into the best time of her life. It's gonna suck, but when you look back, I'm like, damn, that shit was actually it was good. It was really good. But that I'm like, yo, I was just dying. I was rewatching this shit with Ray. Shout out to our guy Ray. When you guys was like, they gotta have thick skin. The world fucking sucks.
see,
I can't even imagine if I want to see my parents and I called them by their names.
yeah, I almost forgot my mom's name. I think about it, 'cause
I'm a
I don't
grown
call her.
man. I'm a grown man, and I'm scared to call my mom by her name.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. Yo, shout out.
Listen,
Speaking of which, right? Shout out to my aunt Tony and my cousin Leo. So my cousin Leo, he's like my brother growing up. Like I was always at his house. I know I brought him up to you a few times, but he had moved to South Carolina with his girl, and he just had a baby. So he was up here this weekend. Huh?
that was major.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Shout out to him. He always wanted a child. I think it's what's best for him in his life too. And he's cute. I got to see him today. Little big bully. He's a brute. But it was a good time. I got to see my aunt. I haven't seen her forever, and you know, she pretty much raised me too because I was always over there. Man, she was an aunt that always had Reese's for me. Every Tuesday we go to Blockbuster, get the movies, watch the movies, and yeah, man, it was a great weekend. Can't complain.
I'm curious. Going back to your cigar thing, just the way that you were brought up, I just and it seemed like everything was so communal. Or like it's like every story you have, you was with somebody doing something. Do you think that's
Mm.
why you enjoy going to the lounges and just kicking it with people so much? Because maybe part of your just hanging out with people all over all the time growing up.
I'm sure it probably has a part to do with it. I never thought about it like that, but I think I always enjoy good company. Because when we work together, how many breaks I'd make you take just so I wouldn't be by myself in the food court or something. Or the story where I made you take me down the road.
Crazy.
Um, I'm sure it does deep down. I'm pretty sure it does. It has some connection there. Um, but I do just enjoy hearing people's stories and engaging. Right, like I like me. Like I love to learn, and I think a big part of learning is having conversations with people from all over the country, all over the world, no matter their age, race, whatever. It doesn't matter. I always feel like there's something I could take away from that. So I engage myself in that when I can. But to answer your question, I think deep down there probably is some kind of rooted connection between the two. Uh, even about like my cousin with his baby, like I always thought I was gonna have like 4 or 5 kids because I grew up only child. So like I was I was alone, but I never was alone because I would always be staying at my cousin's house or my
Right.
boy's crib. So it was a little different growing up. So yeah, probably there probably is that piece that just wants to be connected to somebody or something.
Right. I mean, I feel that way because I was really never alone growing up because I had my brothers and then I had my two aunts who my parents helped raise. So there was always and then there was just other family members living in our house. They'd be there and gone. And
Yeah.
so and I only have one younger sibling, so I'm second youngest. And so there was always somebody around, always somebody
Hmm.
around. And so I definitely feel like, man, like I like being around people. I like to your point, because I'm in learning and development as a career. I feel like that's my preferred learning style is learning through experience and stories of other people. I think whenever you got a good storyteller, like that's why things are so interesting to listen to,
Yeah.
other podcasts, or if you're just having a conversation with somebody and they're able to kind of like transport you back in time to a moment
Yeah.
in time where they were doing stuff, or even learning from people, like especially like talking to older people because they have a lot of wisdom.
A lot of
And
wisdom.
if you'll learn this in life, very few people will pass up the opportunity to talk about themselves, right? But there's a lot of wisdom in some of and what older people usually have to say because they have so much experience.
Yeah.
And then when you get somebody who's humble about it, who's willing to tell you all the mistakes they made, like that shit is free game. It's free
Yo,
game at that point.
every time you say something like that, it reminds me of the time where you like you can't learn from anybody who made a mistake.
No, I didn't say that. You see,
That's
you're
pretty
taking
much
that.
what you said, bro.
No, no,
That's
that's
pretty
not
much
what
what you
I
said.
said.
Anyways,
No.
yo,
I
I
said
love that you
I said
said
you
that.
can't
Wait,
learn from people who fail, people who give up.
which is usually because of a mistake. Come
No,
on.
you gave up. You gave up. And I said if I had the option, I'm going to the person who succeeded, who didn't give up.
Yeah, you did say that. You
Okay,
said
so
to the person who succeeded. But I think you could learn equally from someone who didn't, make the right decision.
you
But
don't so
anyways,
you don't think the person who made
we're not
it
going
didn't
back
make
to this.
mistakes?
Potentially they didn't.
No, no way, dude. There's no way.
Potentially they didn't.
No one's
Or it
perfect.
was handed to them. Either or, I love what
Now
you
they're
said, right?
Jesus.
I love what you said where like it brings you back in time like a great storyteller. And you know what's funny is I have mad stories, but I'm terrible at telling them. But you reminded me just like 2 nights ago, it was late and I was like, I don't really want to watch a movie. I wanted to watch the documentaries. There's just something told me like I want to watch a documentary. But now that I'm reflecting, I really believe it's because of the storytelling and it brings you back to that moment. And
Right.
the documentary I watched was like when they was doing it was all like the pop singers. It was on Netflix, I think. All the pop singers got together for Africa. Um and they was doing that song. So like Stevie Wonder was there, Michael Jackson and all that. But I think the reason why I bring it up is because you brought up on how like great storytellers it's it captures you, right? Like it gets your attention and
It
stills the
really
audience.
does. It really does. And you take away from it because you want to listen. Like
Yeah.
I used to work for somebody. And credit to him, he just got a job recently. He was contracted with us. And he was so good at taking information and making you care about it, even though you couldn't give two shits less. If someone just brought up the topic, for example, like, what's something I don't really give a shit about?
Peanuts.
Peanuts, for example. This guy could take all the information about peanuts and then tie it to historical figures like George Carver and then make you care about it. And I'm
Yeah.
like that is such a massive skill
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because, like you said, I mean, I found myself too kind of gravitated more to docu series and stuff like that too, because it's like there's this thing that maybe I know a little bit about. You even ask no, like I watch that's all I watch on YouTube now. Is like these like why is the world this way or like why is the population of Turkmenistan the way it is. But they're telling
Mm.
these stories of like the history of the country and the wars that they fought and all this shit. And it's like, I couldn't give two shits about this, but the storytelling is so good that it makes me want to care. It makes me tap in, lock in. And so
Yeah.
That's why I prefer to learn too. So I wanted to talk to you about.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Got uncomfortable.
I wanted to talk about the NBA playoffs just for a little bit because we're getting ready to ramp up. Play-in starts this week. I think tomorrow. We're recording this on 4/14, and I wanted to get your take on it because we were talking, I think, earlier about I think who we both think is going to win the championship, which is Boston. And I wanted to kind of get your take because this is a big growth and development evolution of a specific player that you have been openly critical about. I want to
Ronnie?
get your take. No, we'll leave that for Stephen A. Smith.
Uh,
I want to. So you got Boston winning the chip, right? I don't want to speak for you, but I'm pretty sure we talked about this before.
I think they're the best overall team, but I don't know. I have a feeling like OKC or someone's gonna win it.
I think OKC too young, man.
I like Boston. I gotta root for Boston.
I think Boston's gonna win it. And I think
Okay.
the biggest reason why is because of the way Jason Tatum is playing this year.
Yeah.
And
We talked about this, yeah.
I want your take on what's different about Jason Tatum this year as the years pass. Someone who's watched him real closely, gone to a bunch of Celtics games, and has been critical of him in the past. What's the
I
difference?
think that he found what he's been missing, which is I think he second guessed himself down the stretch, which ultimately hurt his confidence. I think that he's such a great player that in times where he could have been dominant, he wasn't. He didn't show up. You know, I was calling him and I was critical of him. I was calling him turnover Tatum because he had so many of them, but he was making mistakes because I felt he was forcing it because, you know, he was supposed to be the man. He was supposed to be that guy. And when he would force it, he would put himself in positions or situations that was tough to overcome and which would cause a turnover usually or a bad shot. I think working on his shot over the summer helped. I think Steve Kerr helped with the whole playing minutes in the USA team. And I helped drive him to want to be even better, which it clearly shows, in my opinion.
So I saw a stat, which actually I was surprised about, and maybe I shouldn't have been. But Jason Tatum is ridiculously clutch.
Oh, I seen
Ridiculously
that
clutch.
stat. I seen that stat.
Was like second best ever
Yeah, it was like
field goal
wasn't
percentage.
it like 37.8%?
30, yeah, and like what was like the last minute or to win the game or some shit like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
to win or
yeah,
tie the game. And that
yeah.
came up when he hit the big shot against the Knicks to send him into OT. But I told you when we were speaking about it was that shot right there. I would have been like, you know what? Let's hit him shoot it. Let him shoot it. Why not? But there was just something that in the confidence that you called out when he was playing with there was like, there's no more second guessing. Like I'm him.
Yeah.
And that even made me even more confident in the Celtics, to be honest with you. Because his skill set is ridiculous. It really is.
No,
Handle of a
it is.
guard. He can shoot from anywhere. And he can finish at the rim. Really
Yeah.
no flaws in his game. The biggest flaw, to your point, was he could get in his head a little bit. And there were times where he should have been way more aggressive and he wasn't.
He'll
He would
take
just
a
dribble
step back, fadeaway three. Yeah, yeah,
dribble the
yeah.
clock out. Like you got
Yeah.
the mismatch small defender on you, or he's a bigger defender. You could blow right by him. There's no rim protector
Yeah.
because he's guarding you.
It's
But
hard
that's
to
changed.
it's hard to double Tatum because they got shooters all around, right? The Celtics broke the record this year for most 3-pointers by a team. So, you know, you play off of one of your players, you know,
It's three.
you
It's
say,
three.
yeah, whether it's Horford, Pritchard, um, Hauser, you
The
know,
fact that Horford is even a name you're bringing up is crazy, but that's a credit to him.
no, it's the truth though. He
I
knocks
just
him down.
the reason I wanted to talk about that was just you see an evolution of a player, and he had that major question mark, right? It was always that question of who's really number one, we talk about face of the NBA, right? LeBron fading away. Who's going to take the crown? Tatum was like never mentioned, right? It was like Ant Edwards. And then Ant was like, I don't want that shit anyways.
Luca. Yeah.
Luca. But they're like, can it really be an international player? So there was that. And then there was the Jaylen Brown winning the finals MVP, rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
Like the questions of is Tatum even the best player on his own team? To the Olympics and not getting any burn there. He's not even good enough to start on the Olympic team or get minutes in meaningful games on the Olympic ground. So then respond the way that he's responded. He's probably going to finish third in the MVP voting behind Shane and Jokic. But I think there's so much you could learn from that, which is so much negative energy was getting passed his way. And he took that shit and has put together, in my opinion, is probably his best season as a pro.
Mm-hmm.
Just eye test wise, I don't know if the stats back it up or not, but just he's playing with a level of confidence where he's like, I don't give a fuck.
No, I agree. I remember being in a meeting one time, and this is one of the first meetings where I was getting very honest feedback. And that's all it was. People in the room thought it was uh like I was going through a thrashing, right? Like like I was getting beat up on, but I didn't take it that way. In all honesty, it was
Mm.
I didn't. It wasn't harsh to me. It was just honest. People, but I think people, when they hear honesty, they instantly think like, oh, he's being aggressive or he's being mean. Nah, it's the facts. So I didn't take it like that. But my response was, I love it because I needed to hear it, even though I was kind of aware of where the situation was. But also that being pushed against the wall always motivated me. And it's funny because when I said that, he was like, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I'm like, I'm telling you, it's gonna motivate me. I went and did the work that I didn't do, and some, because that's just how I respond. Sort of like Tatum, where it's like, he took all this negative energy, all these negative situations, and it fired him and fueled him and motivated him to become what he's now evolved into, as you said. I think it's rare. I think some people can't respond that way, right? Sometimes they let that harsh, harsh truth affect them where it gets in their head, and then now they can't really operate the way they should. But I think the few that can do it, I think it could be dangerous because when your back's against the wall and you gotta perform or do something at a high level, and that's what's giving you that motivation, is like, no, stop it. It's like in the gym, right? Like I remember doing those 100 push-ups at the end of not the beginning, but at the end when we would do them. I would think of like
Killer.
negative comments that people would say to me and use that as that
Now
motivation.
you're Jordan. You was making shit up. People said shit to you.
No, they were
You
saying things, but
take it
I
personal.
got the receipts.
No, I think you're right, and I do think that's a special trait. Not just in sports. We see it. We talk about it more in sports because, I mean, sports is the job that you get hated on. Like imagine you pull up to work and Jason Tatum's there talking about your shitty ass sales numbers. You know what I mean? Like you're like you only sold one car this month, Playboy. What you talking about? It's the 14th already. What are we doing out here? You know what I mean? Play by playing how you fumbled the bag with that one customer because he
That's
didn't know how to
crazy.
convert it. So, but I do
Yo,
think it's
that's
a
crazy.
special skill.
Yo, so I got mad referrals for this car dealership. So they've been sending me checks. I told my guy, I was like, yo, I think I probably sold more cars than some of your salesmen at this point. That's
Right
wild.
there, you would kill at that. I mean, we all know you can sell though.
Yeah.
So I do think it's a really special talent and a trait because it's really easy to perform when things are going well. When people are praising you for doing well, everybody's in your corner. It's easy, right?
Yeah.
But when it feels like everything is kind of crumbling around you, when you could dig deep, not then you have the confidence to be like, yo, I did that shit. It don't matter. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know that I'm gonna get out of whatever hole that I'm in because shit,
Yeah.
I've done it already. And it gives
I
you that
do
confidence.
I do want to correct you in the sense of you saying it's easy when you're always getting these compliments and you're performing at a high level. I think it's easy for those who get complacent, right? So, for example, and the
Mm.
reason why I say that is because right now I feel like I'm in that situation where I'm getting a lot of praise and compliments, right? For me, in my mentality is like, how do I up my game, right? Like, how do I not stay at the same pace? I don't want to stay at that same pace. I want to still wow people. Like, wow, this kid really got something special going. So I'm thinking of creative ways on influencing others and keeping that momentum going without staying on that same trajectory. I want to keep going up, right? So I do want to say that because as you said that, I'm thinking it is for most people, but that's only if they're complacent where they're at.
No, that's a great call out. I think Black Dot said, "I've only started climbing. I'm only at the top." You know what I mean? Like this is
Mm,
when their climb really starts. This is
yeah,
when because now you're forging a path. So people have already walked that path to the top before, but now when you're at the top, there's always another
yeah,
summit to climb. So that's a good call because a lot of people will be like, and I think, listen, I'm because I do want to add a little bit to that what you said, which is for some people when you are in the valley, like I want to clarify like, what Quan is not saying. Quan is not saying don't celebrate being at the top or reaching that peak. That's you're not saying not to celebrate that. What you're saying is don't stay so long that that peak becomes a plateau and you flatter
mm-hmm.
off. You know what I mean? Like, all
Very
right,
well
I'm
put.
here. What's next? What's beyond that cloud that I can't see? Got to
Yeah,
start walking. Got to keep climbing. Only started
yeah,
climbing. I'm only at the top. So that's a good call out. I'm glad that you brought that up because complacency is a killer, man.
yeah,
How many people we've known that have had this crazy rises and then they're still where they're at
hmm
years ago because they're like, oh, I made it. You know what I mean? I made it. It's like, did you make it though? You made it to this stop. You still got 3,000 miles to go, Playboy.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
So that's dope. That's dope. I didn't want to spend too much time on the basketball, but I wanted to bring up that specifically just because I thought it was a interesting development. I think it's important to give people their flowers because we've been critical on the show
yeah,
of Tatum, and he's proven everybody wrong, in my opinion, to be like, nah, there's a whole nother level. And I think he didn't get complacent because he could have all NBA on a supermax deal, always an all-star,
yeah,
just won a chip. He could have been like,
yeah,
yo, I could play like this, and it's light for me to do this. But he's like, nah,
yeah.
I'm taking it to another level.
I
So
agree. I agree.
it's
Um,
fire.
as you said that, I started thinking about like you know the times he spoke about Kobe, and they just because Tatum proved it now, they fall in that same category of like enough's not enough, right? There's
Right.
always some kind of room to improve. So I love that you brought that up because I think that was important that we gave him his flowers after all that criticism, but also how it translates to you know people in general when we talked about being complacent and not being stuck in that at that one position, even if that position is on top.
So I got a question for you is how do you catch yourself or make sure that you don't get complacent? Like are there some kind of like warning signs or flags or early indicators of complacency that either you've fallen into or you've seen in other people? And if so, how do you kind of work out of that? Because it is easy to be like, yo, I had the
Yeah.
success. Why do I got to keep pushing?
So as of recent, there hasn't been because I'm just so motivated within myself that I'm just I want to be I want to be great, bro. I really do. So, but I'll talk about the past and what changed was like when I've seen myself being complacent, I would notice it amongst the people I'm influencing. Right, I noticed they're being a little bit complacent. Um, and being the leader, it has to stem from me. So how do I fix that? So I think the red flag would be the people that's around you. How is
Mm,
their behavior changing? What does their mood look like? Uh, and things that help is reflecting helps, right? Like looking at the past day, at the past week, the past month. what did I do? Like, what did I do to impact whatever I'm trying to impact? What behaviors did I display? And most important, which we talk about a lot, is those guardrails of people who's honest with you and not being that yes man or yes ma'am, where they're just telling you shit you want to hear. Like, you have to hear that truth. I think a sense of a red flag that showed me was that honest feedback, right? If I didn't get that honest feedback, there's a great chance I would have stayed complacent doing the things I was already doing, which I needed to change. So, stuff like that.
No, I love all of them. I love all of them. So I was actually reading something earlier today because I'll be honest, I think I've kind of fallen. And I'm working my way out of a place of complacency, and it's not even like I was like I'm good where I'm at, or look how far I've come. It was just like I got so caught up in the day to day where it's just like Monday would come and Friday would end. You know
Mm.
what I mean? And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and then you look back and you're like, I accomplished, I accomplished a lot. I like to reflect at the end of the week, like what did I do? And every week at the end of my week before I log off for the week and start my weekend, I got to type up a report, to share like here's all the things that we worked on because I own a product. And so that gives me a good time to reflect. Like, what did I really do? And I'm like writing down the things that we did, and I'm like, man, we did, I did a lot this week. That's cool, and I feel good. But
Yeah.
then, I was thinking just this past weekend, I was like, because like I said, the guy who was contracting for us just got a job, and so it made me think, like, and I realized I'm like, what I'm doing is sustaining. It's sustaining, it's making good progress, but it's not transformative. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I'm not
Mhm.
flexing growth. It's kind of
Mhm.
like I'm flexing skills that I already have to meet the need of whatever.
Mhm.
But I'm not really
Elevated.
challenging. Yeah, I'm not really challenging anything. I'm not challenging the status quo. I'm not I wouldn't say I was really inspired to go out and do it. It was kind of like I just got to go ahead and do it type of shit. I think a lot of I shouldn't say a lot of people. I can't speak for everybody, but at least for myself, I think I have to catch myself because it's so easy just to be like, all right, look what I accomplished. Cool, cool. I'm good. I'm get my check. I'm out. But so, what am I really doing to elevate myself, and not just myself, but the people who I'm working with?
Mhm.
What am I doing to create shared experiences and shared ownership
Love that.
to help? Because really, I work with the same group of like four people, and it's like,
Mhm.
how do I create an environment where we're constantly challenging each other? Whether it's challenging each other's ideas, challenging each other to be, who could be better, quote unquote, right? Kind of like how we used to do when we was in the store. We would
Yeah.
challenge each other constantly. And
Mhm.
so um I'm trying to work myself out of that complacency through the reflection, but then now trying to create like a sense of like, how can we really, really take our shit to the next level? And not because anybody else is telling us to do it, but because
You
we're
want him.
ballers like that. We're ballers like
Yeah.
that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Challenge
Yeah.
ourselves a little bit. So
Yeah. I will
yeah.
say too, like, before we got on here, I told you I was finishing up some emails, and I'm in a great place right now where I feel like I'm making a great impact like that. So what you're referring to, like challenging and helping others get better, right, and challenge themselves as well as their team that they're in. Um, and it's just, I remember typing up the last email and I was excited to get on the show, and I was just so, I was like proud because it's like fulfilling to be able to get work done. Not that I'm done with work, but to get work done that I know is going to make an impact, right? Like, it's something, there was a powerful message behind what I was sending. So, uh, yeah, it's just for those who are in a situation, right? It's like you said, it's easy because if you have a day to day thing and you have like, all right, I got to do this, this, and this, this, and this Tuesday, this, and this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then now your week's over. But I challenge you to challenge yourself and find something different that you're gonna do. Bring something. I think that also helps with your work environment, anyways, because or any environment because you're spicing it up a little bit, right? Not like your Valentine's story, but like you're making it interesting. You're switching it up, and it's
Listen,
necessary.
listen.
You're like, listen, there might be a third one on the way.
No, whoa. Hell no. I'm set, man. I'm waiting for the green light to get the snip. And I'm out of here.
You
I'm
know, they
literally
brought that
I'm
up.
busy.
They brought that up in at the lounge, and they were saying it's like an easy ass procedure. It's a
It's
quick snip.
outpatient, bro.
It's not even patient. It's not even like a painful like that. And you're
I
good.
mean, it's painful after. Like you're out for a couple days. I remember when my dad
No,
got it done.
2 days, and then you go back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you're out for a couple of days. Like you gotta rest and stuff like that. I remember when my dad got it. But I'll tell you what, I can't wait to live the dream of shooting blanks, bro. I'm gonna be
That's
going
crazy.
crazy. Oh, savage.
I'm done with this guy.
I'm out. The kids really gonna have to start sleeping in their own room after that. That's probably why my wife. Wait,
uh,
I don't even care. I ain't gotta be scared. Are you kidding me?
scared. Scared is funny. Yo, that's a good question. So, what was your thought process when you was first told?
When I found out Nona was pregnant.
Yeah,
So a couple, and I'm gonna be honest. The first one was, holy fuck. Like honestly, I was like stuck when we had a feeling. Because she waited forever to get the whole pregnancy shit done. So we had a feeling,
yeah.
but when she
But
when it got
still,
confirmed,
the confirmation is
it
different.
was like I had to stop for like 5 minutes. I felt like I was like out of body. And I'm like, yo, my life is fucking over, man. It's over.
Yeah,
But
I
honestly,
love.
real shit, bro. It's
Yeah, I
real.
love it. I love the honesty.
I was 23, I think. 23. And then the second thought was, how the fuck am I gonna tell my mom?
Yeah, always goes back. I think I remember that actually.
I was scared, bro. Because my mom would always say, like, don't be getting nobody pregnant. Don't be getting nobody pregnant. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I didn't fucking listen. I'm like, my mom was gonna whoop my ass. And then honestly, after all that shit kind of went away, it was like, how am I all right, like, it's go time. And there was
Yeah,
a motivation that I've never felt ever in my life to just
yeah,
get shit done. I'm not a kid no more, even though I'm still a kid, like that shit is over.
yeah,
I can't complain about it. I made the decisions that I made and we're gonna go ahead and do it. And I'm gonna make sure that, no one was taken care of, regardless of how our relationship ended up. And I was gonna make sure my kid was taken care of. And that was
yeah,
it, regardless of what it meant, what I had to do. And
yeah,
thank God for his grace and his glory, and we've been able to make it work. But definitely out of body, bro. Of like
yeah,
that realization of you don't live for yourself no more,
yeah.
and that's that, bro.
Yo,
What about
now
you?
that she's, I was excited. I was
Good for you.
ecstatic.
What does that feel like?
Yeah,
What does that feel?
it's just
I
like
was
I won a
definitely more
championship.
ecstatic for the second one. I was definitely more ecstatic when we was playing the second time
Yeah.
because that was playing. That one was playing.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So you just said something I wanted to bring back. 'Cause I seen it on an interview, and it was somebody else's podcast. I forgot what podcast it was on, and I forgot who said it. If I'm not mistaken, it was like Waka Flocka, I think. And he was like, "Yeah, if we was on a boat and my family was drowning, I'd save my wife."
Fuck
And
yeah.
I shared that with a group of people just to see what their feedback was, and they was like, "Nah, they wild, they gotta see the kid, and you could remarry and all that." But then I explained your perspective, and I think they understood a little bit more, which is valid. It's a
Remarried? Are
valid
they married?
no.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, honestly, I'm not even joking. Like, you could always remarry, or if that logic, you could always make another kid, right? With that same logic, if like, and I know it sounds harsh, but how harsh does it sound? Oh, I could always remarry. What are you talking about, bro? Like you got
Yeah,
lucky enough with this one. If
yeah,
you really like, here's my thought process. I believe women are God's finest creation. I really do. They're they're infinitely more attractive than men are. They're they have this incredible ability to have children that we can't do. They're infinitely more tougher than we are because what they go through. Imagine bleeding every month, bro.
yeah. You know, it's
Again,
funny. I was just thinking like, yeah, I don't think I could imagine having like cramps and like being uncomfortable every month. Like you know it's
every
coming
month,
every month.
every month, bro, every single month. And I'm
Yeah.
like, and so I'm like, yeah, I said it on the last show. Kid, wife, fuck them kids, man. And that's no disrespect, but
No, I know what you're saying.
at the end of the day, and every, I think if you, even if you're in a relationship and you have a child, whether you're married or you're not married, if you put that relationship first, you work on, both people have to do it. And they got to work on it, and you got to build trust, and you got to maintain that trust. But if you work on that, everything else is going to fall in line.
Yeah,
Everything else is going to fall in line because you guys are
yeah,
going to be moving the same way. So it's going to be like one person. Obviously, you're different people, and there's going to be times where you disagree on shit, whatever. But your kids are going to be taken care of. Your house is going to be taken care of. And now you just operate and you flow. You know what I mean? And I remember when my wife just went to San Francisco for 2 days early in February for a concert. And it was just me and the kids. And I was like, fuck this, man. I'm like, fuck. And I love my kids, but I'm like,
yeah.
fuck this, bro. I would hate, I don't, shout out to the single parents. Don't know how you do it. Working multiple jobs, holding down the house, making sure your kids aren't dead. I could barely pay attention to, and I was working from home, working. My kids were in the room with me, and I was like, I don't even know if they're hungry or not because they're just chilling. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh shit, I forgot to feed them. You know what I mean?
It's day
Like,
two.
no, 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 no. Day two. Time they eat. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Care that relationship, nurture that relationship. Everything else is gonna fall in line.
it's fire.
You'll be
Wow,
good. Trust me.
I think this is a good show.
I think so too. Moral of the story: fuck them kids. You could always make another one. No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
no. That's wild. That's wild.
Nah, I'm kind of I
But
enjoy the
yeah,
journey.
again, shout out to you, Matt. Appreciate you. You know, I look forward to this every week, even though last week was a slow week. Um, just a little under the weather. Shout out to Fanatics again. Shout out to Kenny. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. If anybody has a chance to experience that, check them out. They're in Lodi, New Jersey. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Um,
How
over the
seen? I was gonna do the ending
All
bro,
right, go
which
ahead.
is Quan. Appreciate you, man. As always. Thank you to our listeners, our viewers, wherever you're listening. Please, again, remember to subscribe, like, share, leave a comment. Helps the podcast grow. And as always, think
Think
critically,
critically, speak infamously.
speak infamously.
Yeah.
We out.